got it going. With the spin of the wheel, we'll uncover our fate and stream it to you on one take. We tend to be loud and we fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get. If we stop to right now and we just walked away, we'd be back here next week, cause we just can't wait to play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a hacktastic edition of ARG Presents. I'm your good buddy, your good pal, Amigo Aaron, joined by a man whose ROM needs a hack, an upgrade, probably a full wipe. I give you the Brent.
I'd just accept a sprite swap.
Yeah. Remember that Marvel character ROM? Did you ever read that comic?
No.
Nobody did. So, if you joined us last week, we spun the wheel, this wheel, in fact, and we made the deal. And we will be talking about ROM hacks. ROM hacks. I think I had suggested by Michiyama. This very broad category this week. ROM hacks. How did you approach this with Brent?
Well, I remembered that we had to do a show, and then I stumbled wildly through YouTube going, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God, I gotta find something. Oh my God.
That's pathetic.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did you do your research, Aaron?
I'll tell you.
Mr. Here's my game, and then your response was, oh crap, I forgot.
Well, I'd already picked my game well in advance. I just didn't announce the game.
Sure you did.
But I knew way, way back because I'd heard this game talked about and seen it mentioned on another show that I watched. And I was like, hey, that looks like it might be kind of fun. Plus, it dovetailed nicely into a project myself and my son have been working on. There's all sorts of layers to my choice, not just some arbitrary garbage choice. Now,
well, I'll have to say, Aaron, you are very much like an onion.
thank you. I am, very much.
You make me want to cry.
Well, that's probably your sinuses act up on the Brent. So, before we got into our particular topic of ROM hacks, I want to talk about the subject of ROM hacks. Like, in terms of your everyday play.
Okay.
Are you a person who likes a good ROM hack on an arcade machine or an old console? Or is this something you find pointless and also demeaning of the original art of the ROM?
Both.
Well, please, enlighten us.
I will almost never go out of my way to hunt down a ROM hack. However,
Yeah.
there have certainly been ROM hacks that I stumble across watching YouTube videos or seeing our ones that are so good that they get an article or something written about them, and I'll go, man, that's really cool, and then I will look into them and play them.
Yeah.
But it is a sticky wicket, as they say, because you have to feel okay. Let me back up.
Have you been hacked?
I have struggled with this.
I can tell verbally.
I have struggled with this because I know that both of our games are something you can go right now on eBay and buy.
That's true. I did see that on eBay. Yeah.
Okay? I don't like that. I think that is a bridge too far.
Listen, I don't necessarily endorse this. However, if I were to say I was vehemently against it, I'd be a hypocrite because I bootlegged VHS tapes for a decade on eBay. So I have, hey, bootleg tape need cash. That's what I did. And so I'm not going to come down on these guys. Is it wrong? Yes. Should they do that? Yes. It's very similar to the same thing.
Yeah, Aaron, you said, should they do that? You also said yes.
I know what I said. Listen, all the time I see people, when I was in the coin ops crew doing stuff for the Xbox, when I'd sold some Xboxes with coin ops on them, they hated that. They get booted me. But they're my Xboxes. I'm the one I also worked on the project a little bit. That's
wrong, by the way.
I watched I needed money. Christmas money. Some of that money went into your pocket, by the way. When I watch Chris Edwards, he does that Pi Meeg every year, and then some people have horked it. They've sold it or whatever. He gets mad. It's okay to get mad. You probably should get mad. But ultimately, it's going to happen. When you release stuff into the wild, suckers are going to try to make a buck on it. This is the way things are. so you can get mad, or you can maybe even try to prevent it, or you can just move on. That's the way it is. And I'm sure the people that made the games in question aren't happy about it. And I'm sure the people that made the games they were based on aren't happy about it.
I was going to say, I think you're going to go a layer deeper.
But here's the thing. If it's like when people steal each other's mutants or pinball parts in the pinball emulation community. Sure, they stole the hard work that you did on that, but the thing is, you stole the thing you did the hard work on. It's a rich tapestry of theft, and it's no good. It's just the way it is. So if you want to get super upset about it, you can, but that's just the way it is.
Well,
there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I think it goes deeper than that. I think there's the people who are buying these should have a moral question to ask themselves before making such a purchase. I'm serious. I can't help it that I have slightly more morale.
This is not the path I thought we'd be going down with this conversation. The moral and ethical choices we make in ROMs. Listen, the thing is, let's use the game as an example. Let's say someone made Super Duper Mario 12, okay, and they put it and made their own box, and they burned it to a cartridge, and they put it and they sold it on eBay, okay? Yeah. What are you gonna do? It is what it is, and you're buying something tangible. There's no one selling. You can't legally sell Super Duper Mario Bros. 12, but someone can illegally sell it. You think eBay's gonna stop them? Hell no, not unless they catch them, and they can't catch everyone, and that's just the way it is.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Now,
I disagree with. I mean, yes, what you've just said is all true, but well, I'm not gonna ask if you would buy something like this because you wouldn't buy anything.
Thank you. Too cheap. So,
and dumb.
I also want to talk about some of the more popular games to mod, right? This is an interesting thing. I found a really good, interesting Reddit post where they talked about some of this stuff. So
then you horked it.
You got that right. I'll be selling it later on eBay, by the way. So, like, one of the top games, Super Mario 64. There's tons of ROM hacks for that. Yeah. I was surprised how many. They do everything, and they're supposedly pretty good efforts, a lot of these. Another game that gets a lot of modding would be the Legend of Zelda, the various Legend of Zelda games, particularly the N64 one apparently gets quite a bit of hacking. Here's one that really surprised me, but when I sat down to think about it, I was like, it does make sense. It's one of the many, many, many Pokemon games. These things get hacked to the nines.
Yeah.
Now, the Pokemon games, let's talk about those for a minute. You know, because I've bought many of those for the boy. He's for the Switch, right? Yeah. He loves the Pokemon games. But they pull a gimmick on these games. They sell the same game 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
They just slightly change which Pokemon are available. So when a sucker goes in and hacks in his own Pokemon, it makes me joyous and laugh because we're getting screwed on this. And of course, my kid wants both games. Got to get them both. So I'm doubling up on these single games. And apparently this has been something they've been doing since the Game Boy days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this would explain why there are 4 million Pokemon games.
It released with blue and red.
Yeah.
And then yellow came afterwards.
There's a ton of these Pokemon games, though. I mean, about 1 million of them. Another one I saw that's been heavily screwed with was the Mega Man games.
Yep.
Again, I don't know why. Were you a Mega Man guy back in the day?
Yeah. 1 through 3 were fantastic.
I meant to ask you this before we even started, so I'm going to ask you now. What was the first thing you ever did a ROM hack or any hack on? I mean, I'll take anything.
I would assume it was probably Super Mario Brothers 3.
Do you recall what you did to it?
I played someone else's hack.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go with the first thing I remember screwing with actively was Doom. Doom was, you could get different wads for it, and it would change stuff around. Another thing I remember heavily screwing with was Carmageddon. Carmageddon, I would put in different sound packs. I would download different cars. I remember I had a Batmobile in mine and stuff like that. Those were 2 games that I worked on pretty early on.
That's not ROM hack.
But I said something in the ballpark. Yeah, that's what that is.
Those are just mods.
What do you think a ROM hack is? It's a mod that you burn to a ROM. That's what it is.
I
agree to disagree on that.
okay.
But I think those count. I'm counting them. They're game mods. Game mods and ROM hacks, there's a thin line.
Well, no, there's not. There's really not.
Well, I mean,
ROM hacks are
Doom wasn't on ROM. Although they've also hacked the ROM Dooms for various console games to do extra stuff to them. You're not buying that one.
No, I don't agree with that.
All right, fine.
But
what a jerk.
Well, sorry.
Just to round out my list of someone else's list of different ROM hacks.
You claimed it as your own.
Yeah, well, you know. And so I'm going to ask if you've ever played anything with these hacks. Donkey Kong Country has some ROM hacks.
No.
There's also a Sonic ROM hacks. I believe there was a, let's see here. Oh, yeah, Castlevania.
Yes.
Oh, you have played the Castlevania ROM hack.
Yeah.
What's that do?
Well, there's
The one you're talking about.
There's 18 bajillion of them. There's ones that will go in and change the characters, put characters from newer games into older games.
Yeah.
That sort of affair.
Also, just to round out the list, Advanced Wars. Apparently, has a couple good ROM hacks on it. And then, of course, you got to have some sort of ROM hack for Fire Emblem. A lot of these are NES and Super Nintendo games, I've noticed.
Okay, I have a question for you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Do you consider translation patches to be a ROM hack?
Well, they are. I don't have to consider it.
Yeah,
they are.
I would say that is a ROM hack, yes.
So by your strict criteria, that makes the cut.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think we can all agree that your criteria is questionable, to say the least.
Okay.
So with all that said, plus our ethical conversation, all that put out of the way, we now understand where we stand ethically, morally. Now we're ready to proceed, calm, quiet fashion, to our ROM hacks. Would you like me to lead the dance?
No, I'm going first.
All right, go ahead.
I brought, Aaron, you've played Super Mario Brothers.
That's true.
And
multiple ones.
And you've played Super Mario Brothers 2, the American version.
I played them both.
And the Lost Level versions, right?
Yep, I played
Super Mario Brothers 3, one of the best games of all time.
Great game, yeah.
And then the numbering just kind of left field, right? Well, Super Mario Brothers 4 and Super Mario 5, no. We're going straight to Super Mario Brothers 6.
Yeah. I didn't know about this one. Brand new. That explains it.
Yeah. This is a new. In fact, this is one that is still being updated, from what I've understood.
Yeah.
First of all, Aaron, do you know what game this is based off of?
Well, I mean, they made it pretty obvious the second the music starts up. Because I remember thinking to myself, what an odd choice. And then with 3 seconds of research, I'm like, okay, this is a Tiny Toons game.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, that's the only tune in the game. There may be other tunes.
There is.
But I didn't hear it.
There's quite a few other tunes, actually.
It's odd that they leave that one in, frankly.
No. The game itself has other tunes.
Yeah. But why leave that in is my point.
Oh, I don't. From my understanding, none of the music was changed. Real quick, I want to talk about the original games, Tiny Toon Adventures. I'm guessing, Aaron, and I could be wrong, but you've never played Tiny Toon Adventures.
I have played it.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Because I play a lot of stuff. I'm an Amigo Aaron. Yeah.
Multiple characters. You take Buster and Babs. And you fight Montana Max, which they're in-world, super rich, spoiled kid.
Did you watch that show?
Some.
I watched a lot of those, and
Yeah.
they were pretty good.
Yeah,
and you know me, I hated those that era of cartoons. They got those. That was pretty good.
So you've got in the game, you've got Dizzy Devil and Plucky Duck, and it's all each level sort of has a character that a set of characters you can be. Well. Yeah. This one, and it was released in '91, and it did fairly well. So I could understand why someone would use this as a basis for a ROM hack, because it was a fairly popular game. So Tiny Toons Adventure comes in and says, Super Mario Bros. 6 comes in and says, I'm going to take Mario and I'm going to add him into this game. I'm ripping everything except for the music of Tiny Toons out.
Yeah.
Not only did they change the landscape and the backgrounds and all the sprites and the main characters. They changed the powers, the power suits that you can wear, the collectibles, every single thing. If you showed this to me in like 88, I would have said, yeah, that looks like a Mario game. Would you agree?
I would say yes, it looks like a Mario game. I will agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll get to clear that hurdle first.
Yeah, it looks... They did an excellent job. I mean, it looks like a Mario game. I'll get into more into that later.
Now, the reason why this is doubly impressive is this was not just a sprite swap. You could not do that with this game because of the way that Tiny Toon stores their sprites on the card. So this was actually very meticulously gone over. The left and right facing is a big deal. To be completely honest, it's way above my pay grade to everything that went into this. But they added cinematics. Wario's the bad guy, of course. It's a save the princess type game. And they went far enough that other elements of the game, like the butt slide, where you sit down on a slope and you'll slide and butt and kill enemies, that's in the game.
Yeah.
I think purely from a ROM hack side of things, where you said, this is Tiny Toon's Adventures, and now this is Super Mario Bros. 6, I think they did a tremendous job. I think they accomplished their task of making it look like a Super Mario Bros. Game and feel, I'm not talking about gameplay, but feel the elements of it are all there. I think where they failed was the music, and unfortunately, probably the largest place they failed was the gameplay itself. And it's to the point where to change it to feel exactly like a Mario game, I'm sure would be more difficult than to just make a new game, right? Because when you get in there and start changing physics and that kind of stuff, I would assume that is much harder to do than everything else that's been done. The jumps are a little floaty. The running is a little inconsistent. But stuff like collision boxes, crap like that, all of that feels really good, I felt.
Yeah. I mean,
well, okay. Go ahead. Say what you want to say on this.
This game has one real big, well, it's got multiple problems, but the biggest problem by far is the control of your character. And keep this in mind. It controls okay. So this isn't like a full burial, okay? But it doesn't control like Mario in any game. And also, he's got an additional long skid when he stops.
He does.
And it is no good. And I'm assuming, like you said, there was no way they could get that out of there. It's funny because I vaguely remember that from the game. But when I first started playing this, I didn't make the connection right away, okay? And so I thought, okay, let's give it a whirl. And right away, the one thing you could, hey, listen, you love Nintendo, you hate him. You love Mario, you hate him. No one's ever going to say, like, Mario doesn't control that good. It's perfect control. You've got perfect pinpoint control of Mario, everything, and Luigi, whoever you're playing. In this game, the game that they ripped off for this, it didn't have that sort of control. And that's not a bury in that game. That was probably part of the game play element. Yeah. And so the one thing this game doesn't do right, well, one of the things is the control, particularly the stopping. But that's not all. Even the speed of everything, it's just not quite the same or what you would expect. Do you know? Did they take sprites out of multiple Mario games to make this, or was there just one they took them out of?
Oh well, I mean, some of them are their own stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's some art packages in this too.
I'm sorry. Carry on. But
there's no game where there's no 2D game where he has the cat suit that I'm aware of, or 2D game where he has the propeller suit.
But I'm sure some of these sprites, they had to have been taken out of like other games.
I think the base Mario sprite was taken from Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
And then that sprite was edited to fit into the other stuff.
But yeah, and then there's other things. But I'll let you go back. I'll get the rest of mine when I'm mentioning.
How does this play? It does play a little floaty. It does play a little non-friction. But I think that and when I say floaty non-friction, as compared to a mainline Nintendo game, I agree. I don't think this is bad enough to say that this is bad controls or anything like that. It's just different than what you're expecting going into it. I think the gameplay elements where you can get the suits and have a special power, like the penguin can swim in water real fast, the propeller suit makes you invincible, and the cat suit allows you to run up vertical surfaces. Well, first of all those are actual suits in different Mario games.
Yep.
And I think that they make them very playable in the world that you're put into. There are tons of times, especially in the propeller suit, where becoming invincible is incredibly important and really helps sell the power of the suit. The way they handle, you don't have a small Mario in this. If you pick up a mushroom, you basically just pick up a hit point, which is a little confusing at first, but once you realize that's what they're doing, it makes more sense, and you just know to watch out for it. I think it's neat. You're not forced into taking one particular suit into a level. If you want to go into the first level and have the penguin suit, even though it would be 99.99% worthless, you can do it. The game lets you do it. So it doesn't hold your hand in that regard. I had a lot of fun with this, except they did not change the first boss fight. And I think the first boss fight is also the worst boss fight in Tiny Toons, or anytime you fight the rich dude, Maximilian, before you get to where you fight him proper, is his boss fights are just run around until the exit appears. And that is very hard.
It was confusing to me.
Yeah, that's very hard to convey unless you just know.
Yeah.
I knew this was Tiny Toons, so I knew that's what I needed to do.
Yeah, that I didn't
But
remember.
it's never conveyed in the game like that. So a lot of people will try to attack the boss, bounce off, and die. And that's has to be frustrating. Aaron, how far did you get in this? Do you remember?
I got past the first boss because I had to go back and figure out how to get
The first Maximilian boss?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's my take on this game.
And just
one
one more thing.
Yeah.
This thing has like 6 worlds.
Yeah.
And they're all incredibly fleshed out.
Yeah.
It's not like they just front-loaded this with stuff that looks right and looks good. It is solid from beginning to end. I didn't necessarily get to play all the game, but I did watch all the game. And this is something that happens a lot in ROM hacks, where they front-load the front to be awesome, and then they just, yeah, let's finish this up at the end. This game is pretty solid from beginning to end.
So I mentioned my problem with the controls.
Yeah.
So that made this game difficult.
Frustrating.
See, here's the thing. As a ROM hack, this is like near gold standard.
Yes.
Because, and newsflash, a lot of ROM hacks that try to be real insane suck.
Yes.
They don't do a very good. They try.
Absolutely, I agree.
Listen, I can't do it, but I mean, they're not fun to play. They're a wacky novelty, okay? This isn't super fun to play, but one of the reasons it feels like a difficult or it's disappointing in some way, it's because you're going after the top shelf.
Yes.
It's not like they're like ROM hacking, Popeye wrestling here.
Yes.
I mean, this is like you're going after the big dog. And so anything less than what you expect from Mario game, you're like, man, this feels weird. Despite the fact that they put in a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
It is a great hack. It's an amazing hack.
Yeah, I agree.
And they did an amazing job. With that said, it's a lot like getting remember when Mario Brothers 2 came out and you're like, man, this is weird crap. Like, what's going on here? It's a whole different game with different jumping and everything from the first one, right?
Sure.
Well, it didn't make it a bad game. I enjoyed that game.
It's,
but
one,
you
it's
had to
one
get
of my
used.
favorite.
If you're playing the princess, you're going to float around.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera. That's this game.
Yes.
Added point to this, that due to the way this game was originally structured, they can't quite do things like you do in Mario. In every Mario game, the question boxes do weird stuff. Everything's at a weird height. It's not like the coins are too high. Stuff isn't at the height you expect in relation to Mario. Stuff like that. And I'm not trying to nitpick it, but I'm just saying these are things that throw you off. It's an uncanny valley of ROM hacks.
It is.
And
I agree with that.
And so you have to approach this almost like it's not a Mario game.
Yes.
It looks like a Mario game. It has the same characteristics as a Mario game, but it doesn't play like any Mario game you ever played.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching the screen and this guy plummeted to his death on this platform. I did that over and over and over and over because I was judging it with Mario game reflexes and not with Mario 6 game reflexes.
Yes.
Now, if you could get past that, and I sort of kind of did, but then you've got something here. Also, I don't think I like what they did with the suits. If that's your cup of tea, I'm not the biggest. I don't mind just going through without a suit, frankly. But I like how they use the you've got the thing in reserve gimmick, which is nice. They did a lot of stuff right. The music was weird,
right? Because it wasn't changed.
It was good music. It actually almost sort of fit. If you hadn't seen the show, you'd be like, that first thing fit okay. The cutscene's cool. Like, I like what they did. So, I'm here to praise Mario 6.
Yeah.
I had one of those 162-in-1 Nintendo cartridges from China.
Right.
Deep in the heart of China. And there was all kinds of crazy ROM hacks on it, and they were almost always garbage.
Yes.
So, like, when something like this comes along, where someone really took some time,
you can appreciate
I got to give them credit. So, I think this is if you're looking for just for something Mario-esque, give this a whirl. Now, that much said, it's been so long since I played Tiny Toon Adventures. I don't remember how similar this is. Like, I don't know the extent. Obviously, they changed the graphical assets in the levels. I don't know to the extent they changed the levels, but I would say they changed them a goodly amount.
They did the later levels. Well, really all the way through. The levels are unique.
Yeah.
And in fact, you can see influence of other Mario games in the levels that you're playing.
But when you just to sum up, I don't want to go on about it, but when you play a Mario game, you know that Nintendo's got their top men designing this thing. They're top, the tippy top. So if Nintendo called me and you up and said, "Listen, we need you guys to design 10 levels of Mario," you have some level design skills. I can only vaguely spell level. And so we would go in there and hack it up. And so this is somewhere in between in terms of their abilities to make these levels. Some of them were okay. The end boss level, like I said, I only saw the one. I thought I was puzzled, real puzzled, till I went and saw somebody do it. I was like, okay. Yeah. But again, that's the limitations of that's the one thing about ROM hacks. They're very limiting. You can only do so much stuff.
In some regard. Yeah. Now, Aaron, what did the Discord think of this?
Oh, well, it's a good question.
Because I know we did get some reviews.
Why don't you tell everybody what this is going for on eBay?
The eBay,
I was joking.
The eBay listing I saw it for was $50.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
I was just killing time there until I actually found the Discord reviews. Here we go.
The problem with buying something like this on eBay is, this is updated several times this year.
Yeah.
And of course, you're left with whatever got put onto the cartridge in the beginning. But this will play on an NES. So
we got 3 reviews for this, the Brent.
All right.
The first one comes from our own John Bodokar Shaw, or he types in, this game looks okay, but the controls are pretty floaty. I found the power-ups you could choose from the beginning to be either slightly useful penguin or baffling cat. The music gets old quick, but I can still sing most of the words to the Tiny Toon Adventures theme, so can I, Boat. I made it to the boss, at which point I died, and was sent all the way back to the beginning. That's something we didn't mention. That I don't like.
Yeah, there's no checkpoints.
Yeah, that is...
But the levels aren't huge either.
Right, but still, that sucks.
Well, and what really sucks is I'm sure he didn't understand how to beat the boss, which is to just avoid them.
Nobody understands that.
Yeah.
Mitsuyama chimes in, some care and attention to detail has gone into this hack. The graphical changes look nice. However, the music remains unchanged from the original Tiny Toons game. Some adjustments to the level designs and layout seem to have been made, which is a nice touch. The variable jump height, which depends on how long you press the button, takes a little getting used to. It's also not immediately obvious what each of the power-ups does. Having them explained on the selection screen would have been useful.
Yes.
I had the most success with the cat power-up that allows you to run up the walls. It seems to me that this has been designed to be challenging for people who find regular Mario games too easy. I'm not a Mario enthusiast.
I would agree with that.
So I only made it to level 2-2, a dreaded underwater level, and had to give up there. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, if you don't pick the penguin for that level, it sucks.
And then bringing up the rear are the ever-present, ever-popular Jocko chimes in. When a great game comes along, everybody tries to copy it. Some just outright clones, and others put their own twist on it. So to take Tiny Toon Adventures, which is a fairly average clone Mario platformer, and then slap some graphics from another Super Mario game in it, feels quite lazy. The only purpose to either sell a bootleg cart or to put those 9 gazillion in one plug-in TV Famicom cone systems. So he's saying this is a lazy one. Weirdly, there seems to be more than one Super Mario 6 ROM, or there were different degrees of conversion.
Probably different versions.
As a ROM hack, this is a 5 out of 10, as it contains a lot more sprite changes, but playing a Mario game with Tiny Toons music also breaks the illusion somewhat. So play the original Tiny Toons and you'll enjoy it more. Ironically, playing it as a Mario game seems to somehow make it a worse experience. There you go. So 5 out of 10.
Who was that?
That was from Jocko.
Oh my gosh, Jocko.
And he loves everything.
Yeah. Man, so, I certainly enjoyed it more than a 5 out of 10. Well, you know, I take that back. I think 5 out of 10 is pretty fair.
You're all over the map, the Brent. I thought it was a pretty good effort. But I think a lot of people are grading this on a reverse curve. Because, like I said, I'm just saying, when you put Mario in there, people expect a certain amount of awesome, and if the awesome's not there, they feel like they're getting hosed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that was my take on ROM hacks, Aaron. What did you bring to the table?
So, me and my son have been going up to our little tiny house on the river quite a bit over the summer. And one of the traditions that we started was going through and beating a bunch of beat-em-ups. That was our thing. And so one of the first ones we tackled was the Streets of Rage series. We played all the Streets of Rage, including amazingly a Beats of Rage version of Streets of Rage that came out. And we really enjoyed Streets of Rage 2. So I thought, so that was in the back of my head when I remembered hearing the boys over at Pixel Gaiden, plus another guy I watched, Mad Little Pixel, talk about a reskin of the game. And so that led me to the path to where I chose, ironically, since I'm not a fan of these guys, but I chose it anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Re-Revenge.
Yes.
This is Re-Revenge. That's an important difference. So I'll get to that in a second. But so how do you get these hacks? Well, it's funny to think about it, but it's really 3 different games you've got to think about. The game that came out, the game you're hacking, and the game you stole all the graphics from, and among other things. So
I understand what you're saying.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Re-Revenge is a ROM hack of Streets of Rage 2, a.k.a. Bare Knuckle 2, released in 1992 with the Genesis, and then it made its rounds on a lot of the Sega stuff, and of course, in all the greatest hits releases from all the different things. This was developed by, it was 4 outfits that took credit with developing this game, and Streets of Rage 2 is heralded as one of the all-time great beat 'em up. Certainly all-time great home version beat 'em up.
Sure.
Like, people love this one. They love it more than any of the other Streets of Rages It's sort of like the ipso facto King Dong of beat 'em ups on the Mega Drive / Genesis. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd say
it's good.
top of the heap. Yeah,
It's good.
I'm like you. I think it's pretty good. Is it the best thing I've ever played? It is not, but it is good. So there's step one. That's what's being hacked. Step two are your assets. Where are they coming from? Well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, that's just Revenge, was released in June of 2022 on a whole myriad of platforms. Steam all the way down to like your modern game systems and your Switch and all these things. And it was a completely different game with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it. And it was apparently a pretty big seller because it got a sequel, at least one sequel.
Have
maybe
you ever
two.
played it?
I have played it.
Yeah, I beat it.
I played it, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's real good.
I would put it. Did I think it was as good as the Konami classic digital arcade games? I mean, I like the graphics in this better, but I thought this game was a more robust package.
Yeah,
than that would have been.
There was more to do.
So when you take the assets from that and combine them with Streets of Rage, what you get is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge. This was released in December of 2022 and was released by a fellow named Savak. Now, I looked at Savak's back catalog, and Savak, his gimmick is he's a Streets of Rage 2, the King Dog. That's what he does.
Right.
He mods Streets of Rage 2, and he's modded it in a bunch of different ways, okay? So this was not something where he was just like, hey, let's try modding this. This was in his wheelhouse.
He knew what he was doing going in.
He also had help on this one. So Savak worked on all the graphics, music, design of characters and enemies, and balancing, stuff like that. Then he had his partners were a guy named Akiko, or a PPL, Akiko Hacking. Akiko worked on code porting, coding, hacking, fixes, stuff like that. And then finally, bringing up the rear was Escalel Hacking Minor, who was did the text editing, title screen, play testing, and he also did some of the like after work for like press release time.
Sure.
Stuff. So that's your crew right there. So there are two important aspects of this game that a lot of people don't get. Okay, number one, because I've heard a couple people say, "Oh, look, this is just a character swap or a palette swap from Streets of Rage 2." That's incorrect, and I knew that right away because they actually changed a lot of the fundamental things that Streets of Rage do.
Okay.
Streets of Rage 2. Number one, this is a complete revamp in terms of the characters, okay?
Yes.
So I sat down and watched a playthrough of Streets. I played this to completion, okay? And then I watched a side-by-side between a playthrough of Streets of Rage 2 and this, okay? The scenery is effectively exactly the same.
Yes.
Okay, pretty much every way, the scenery is identical.
Yes.
Now, the music. This game, much like your game, has had revisions, okay? The revision of the ROM that I found gives you the original Streets of Rage 2 music. Now, the original Streets of Rage 2 music is some of the most all-time beloved music ever. They love it. They love it. Albums have been released, yada yada. But some people were disappointed that this did not have its own soundtrack. Well, it does, if you know how to make it work. This has a Sega CD release that has the music as part of that, so you can actually have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type music with the game, with CD quality sound, if you know how to rig it up, okay? Or if you have a Sega CD and you have it put together correctly.
Sure.
Okay, I'll listen to all the tunes. They're just what you would expect. They've probably been ripped from a bunch of different Turtles games.
Very Konami Turtle.
Well, they were more like the newer Turtles.
Yeah, okay.
But there was orchestral, and like it sounded like 80s electro, that kind of stuff. So, in case you're wondering, there is a soundtrack. You can get it. You can, depending on how you build these ROMs, you can set it up like a Sega CD and play it like that.
Sure.
So just in case you didn't believe that was something they did. let's talk about the actual things that they did that everyone can see. So all the characters are represented here. You get Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo. Plus, you also can play as April O'Neil, Splinter, and Casey Jones.
Yes.
These are all pickable characters, and they all have differences, different ratings, different move sets.
They aren't just palette
They
swaps.
are not palette swaps.
No.
They have weapons. Some, and they some have weapons, and they play like totally different characters. There are no similarities. I mean, they're kicks and punches, but they're totally different.
Yeah.
If so, like for example, I always like to play the turtle with the bow staff.
Donatello.
That's who I beat the game with. And so whenever they did this, they actually rigged it up to where the bow staff feels like exactly like it should. I tried the hockey stick guy. That's the same
Casey
thing.
Jones.
I played the turtle with the chucks.
Michelangelo.
There is no issue there. They, as far as we'll get to you, but as far as I can tell, the hitbox they did it. They did it. You also, unlike Streets of Rage 2, that they included shadows for your characters, which were not in Streets of Rage 2.
Yep.
They also, when I was reading what they'd done, I could already tell from playing Streets of Rage 2 recently, they also changed the way dashing worked.
Yes.
In the original, dashing was not the easiest thing to do.
It sucks.
In this thing, not only can you dash, and you can control where you go with your dash, you can also reverse dash, and you can perform your special moves out of the dash.
Yeah.
So the dashing is way better than it used to be. You can also, in certain areas, you can even do, you can perform juggle maneuvers if you get them in the right spot.
Well, if you can trap them in the corner, you can juggle them, but it's not.
Well,
not
that was by design.
Yeah.
Players can recover from a hit by pressing the jump button when they land. That's from Streets of Rage 4. Which was not the best, but that's still good. They also added a 6-button gamepad support.
Yep.
So it moves one of your moves out. They turned off the friendly fire aspects of the original game, so you can't brutalize each other. There's a new plot. The plot of this is pretty funny, where it talks about how you crush Shredder, you crushed Mr. X in the original Streets of Rage, and so he decided to leave everything he had left to Shredder, who'd also just been recently crushed.
Well, it was a power vacuum. Yeah.
And so Shredder took over basically the city and put all of his Foot Clan in there, and so that's why you're fighting. It was all a plan of I can't remember the freak's name with the alien living in its gut, the big ball
Krang.
robot. Yeah. So this is all his scheme. So and it's got a full opening. It's got a full, you get all the scenes, the pictures, and various stuff. So that's all pretty much redone. They also put a option in for turbo mode, which turbo mode's not what you think, because this game is not just like Streets of Rage 2. It's not what I would call high speed effort.
Right.
But turbo mode makes your maneuvers, it leaves less of a gap in between your maneuvers to make things flow a little more interestingly.
Yeah, instead of going button to attack, you can go button.
The problem is the bad guys apparently cannot, because I noticed that the bad guys could get you in a way. So these are amongst the things they changed on this. When you get to the end of a level, you have an end boss. The end bosses are straight out of the Turtle lore. You've got Bebop. You've got that weird mutant turtle. You've got all that crap.
Slash.
Who's the guy that plays the flute? I wasn't familiar with him.
Rat King.
Rat King. He's tough too. And then on the last level, there's the last two levels are sort of like a mini boss rush, and then at the end you fight the two big bad guys. And then at the end of the game, they've also redone the pictures there. If you've ever played Streets of Rage 2, they just show these pictures. At the end of this one, they have changed all the pictures and stuff to make it work. The art, of course, all these guys were ripped from a recent, awesomely done game with an awesome artist.
Yeah.
So all the turtles look great. All the enemies look spectacular. And when you watch this side by side with the original Streets of Rage 2, the characters look 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
There was a failure in this game, or a bug that we could freeze the game, but they figured it out and they moved it out. I did get to one point in the game where I couldn't proceed but it's because it was a guy hanging out off screen without moving. So I just had to go around moving until I finally could hit him off screen. So just like anything, but I mean that could happen, and that probably happened in Streets of Rage 2. It wouldn't surprise me. But overall, I thought this was a welcome addition to Streets of Rage 2. The characters in this are way more interesting than the Streets of Rage 2 characters.
Yeah.
And a lot more fun.
And more of them.
And so what did you think of this?
Okay. So first of all, me and my Saturday morning gaming group have played all the way through Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
Co-op.
Yeah.
This is not a replacement for that game. It's two different everythings.
Oh yeah, but I mean this is on Genesis.
Yeah, I know. So if you go in expecting that kind of manic gameplay and combos and crap like that, you're going to be disappointed. This is old school with better graphics, but they've done a lot of quality of life stuff.
Yeah.
I also played Donatello. That's just who I always pick.
I like the distance. That's me.
Well, the characters, the difference in the characters actually matter in this because range, power, speed, health, and I cannot remember what the last stat is, are all important. When you're scrolling through your characters to select, it has ratings 1 to 3. And they actually mean something.
Yeah. I mean, the old one had ratings too for the few characters there were. Yeah.
So this game allows you to have that old style feel of a beat 'em up with really pretty graphics.
Yeah.
It also allows things like turnaround attacks that feel good and natural, dash attacks that feel good. They aren't worried about stealing your quarters. The game is fairly easy. You should, well, at least on normal. I didn't play it on any
I
other
played it on
difficulty.
normal. I've tried it on easy, and it also goes all the way up to like Mania. I believe it's the highest one, so I tried it on both. And let me tell you something, Mania is open for business. It's brutal.
The game is fair. Now, you will get caught into some stun locks, but for the most part, you can also do the same to the enemy. There are grabs. Everyone has their own grab animations and stuff. There is a tremendous amount of animation in this game. The hit detection is really solid.
Yeah, surprising given what they've done. I was surprised.
And people like Donatello who have the long reach, you can outreach enemies to the point where they aren't even attacking yet. They're not even in like an attacking animation. So you can really use that range to your advantage. But when they get in close, you do start to feel smothered because he'll go down fast, you know?
Yeah, and did you notice it's even got that sort of cadence that you also got in something like Golden Axe where you can just like keep a guy stunned by just, and he'll try to get you, but you can always just catch him.
Yes.
And you can drain him like that, which I love that in the game. Of course, that was in Streets of Rage 2, so it makes sense.
Now, the other part of this that isn't present is the enemies will drop weapons like pipes and knives that you cannot pick up.
Yeah.
You will not replace your own weapon. And even if you're playing somebody like April O'Neil who has the microphone for a weapon, she will not pick up a knife or anything like that and use instead.
Their weapons are already better, so it would be dumb to pick them
Well,
up, but
I don't know. I'd rather have a knife or a pipe than a microphone.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll grant you that.
Okay. So the variety of the levels is above average. I'm not going to say it's some kind of awesome, mega, super tier.
Yeah.
But they're good enough that you can play through it really once or twice on different characters and not get bored. The levels are fairly short. None of them felt like they really dragged on. The amount of enemies you fight seems to be well paced. A lot of good stuff went into this.
One of the things I was going to ask you about this, that because Streets of Rage 2, this is where it's the same exact level design. And this is an odd game because sometimes the levels scroll, like sometimes they flip screen, sometimes you hardly move at all and they flip screen.
Yeah.
Like the design on it's real odd. I mean, it works. It keeps it different, but it was always it's just an odd bird when it comes, because most of these games, they just scroll along to the end. Not this one. Like, it would just flip screen occasionally. I don't know why, but that's the way Streets of Rage was.
Also, something I really appreciate is the varied level of enemy health. You aren't just fighting tank after tank after tank in the later levels. They are happy enough to sprinkle in Foot Clan that have 1 or 2 hits are going to kill them.
Yeah.
And that makes the game feel good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that's an improvement over Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
Which had a problem with putting guys in it took forever to kill, and I hated that.
Yes.
This is more brisk, I think.
It has good variety of enemies, even though a lot of the basically all the Foot Clans are just palette swaps. That's a nature of the Foot Clan, as they say. The enemies, however, will have different weapons. You will fight some of the robots. You will fight a whole plethora of bad guys. The only one they left out that I'm really surprised is they did not have the robot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and they did not have Baxter, the Fly, Dr. Baxter.
Yeah, the other guy was Wingnut, that was the flying guy.
Yeah, that was their bat guy.
If you want to see a big difference if you want to compare this to Streets of Rage 2, watch that scene. Because Wingnut is this huge sprite. He flies, zips all over the screen. If you watch the original Streets of Rage, it's this guy with a jetpack. Man, graphically, it's not even close. Like, it's a tremendous difference.
So, the biggest question, in my opinion, is this fun enough to play? And I will give this a very dramatic 2 thumbs up.
Now, it's not without its flaws, which I do want to get into
true.
that. And so, again, it is, keeping in mind the nature of the beast here, this is not a very fast beat 'em up.
No.
You're not zipping around the screen.
No,
you're dashing around, but you're not zipping around the screen.
Right, which I appreciate.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you're looking for something that runs a little more briskly, this ain't it.
Well, no, if you want something like that, play Shredder's Revenge, not Re-Revenge.
Secondly, of course, like I said, this is a complete palette swap for all the characters. But it's sort of disappointing they didn't do anything with the backgrounds. I don't know how difficult that is. But, like, it means that the Foot Clan are caught in looking some weird stuff. Why are the Foot Clan laying down on the benches, for example? Why are they doing all those setups?
I don't have any problem with that at all.
I'm just saying, they're doing things why are they hanging out like gangsters?
They are.
They're not really. I mean, they're in positions that like I wouldn't mind seeing the Foot Clan doing a kata or something different.
I completely disagree.
I'm just saying, if you're looking for a super, like, this isn't nearly as involved in the level as I'd say your game was.
Right.
They just kept the exact same level. So effectively, what you're doing is it's like, I'm gonna play a game of Streets of Rage with the different characters and different enemies. That is what you're doing.
Yes.
And then and if you rig it right, you'll get different sound. And then there's some quality of life stuff in the gameplay.
Yes.
So, but I mean, it's still, you're playing Streets of Rage 2 with like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle update.
Yeah, with a new can of paint. Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm here for it.
But I did enjoy it as well. We did get some reviews on this one, the Brent, if you care to hear.
Sure, go for it.
Our good buddy John Bodokar Schaller also gave this game a go. Boat says, stunning. A vast amount of character choices, all with meaningful stats, incredible music, and graphics I did not think were possible in the Genesis. An amazing achievement, 10 out of 10. It's worth noting I did not play or have not played either of the original games this is based on. There you go. Well, it is worth noting. Mitsuyama chimes in. From the outset, it's obvious that this is a reskin of Streets of Rage 2. It's hard to go wrong with such a fantastic game as a starting point. It's disappointing that all they've done is swap the character sprites. The music and level design remain the same from Streets of Rage 2. Again, And it would have been better if there had been some modifications to these, even just including a version of the TMNT theme tune. Nonetheless, the changes they have made are well executed. The replacement characters look excellent, and they have managed to keep the feel and gameplay intact. It loses some points due to the limited changes, but it's still worth giving this a try. 6 out of 10. Again, there is music. there's new music, CD music, if you care to spin that up. So that's, but yeah, there you go. And then finally, Pajako chimes in, a high benchmark for a ROM hack. This isn't just a straight sprite swap. The team behind this have added extra characters, and all with their own special attacks. Now, with these kinds of game mods, it helps if your source is a great game and Streets of Rage 2 is. The only real drawback is you have to finish your attack animation before you can do something else like jump away from enemies in a brawl. Again, he made that a play with Turbo one where you could execute that a little more easily. All the character sprites are awesome, players and enemies alike, and this really could be a game in its own right if Streets of Rage 2 never existed. The backgrounds remain mostly unchanged. They work. The music is the only thing that breaks the illusion of this being a Ninja Turtles game, especially given the famously ripped-off music track Moving Mountains by the Shaman. The original soundtrack is freaking awesome, though. I made it about halfway through on my first playthrough, and I felt I could probably complete this game in a few tries, and even more so if I was playing two-player co-op. Shredder's Re-Revenge is a more enjoyable game Shredder's Re-Revenge is a more enjoyable game than Hyperstone Heist, and while the latter is more playable, I was pretty bored playing Heist after about 10 minutes, whereas I was totally enjoying Re-Revenge until I died. Have you ever played Hyperstone Heist?
I have not.
I have. It's okay. As a ROM hack, it's a solid 9 out of 10. And it only loses a point because of the lack of new music. Track this down and play it. You won't regret. So nobody knew about the music. So here I am. I'm letting you in. I'm opening the light. There is a whole soundtrack that will go along with this game.
Yeah, I didn't know about the music either.
So there you go. That's all we got on that one, Brett. I enjoyed ROM Hack Week. That was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
And we should definitely put that back on the wheel sometime, because I saw some other ones I'd like to try that I never even thought about having ROM hacks. So that'd be a lot of fun.
You know what else is fun, Aaron?
Hanging out with me every Sunday night.
That's right, the wheel.
Oh!
Now let me turn off our noise suppression for the moment so we can get the lovely...
There you go. You got it.
All right, Aaron, are you ready?
You want to tell them what you put on the wheel this week?
I didn't put nothing on the wheel.
Well, if you'll let me explain what we put on here. So this week, the Retro Rewind piece is the good old-fashioned VIC-20. And our new piece, 8-Bit Tarzan Games, as asked for by Jocko. 8-Bit Tarzan Games. There we go. Anything on the wheel you want in particular, Brent?
A nap. Is nap on the wheel?
Stop being so lazy, Brent. Oh, almost made it to the Vic. And the winner this week, this was suggested by our good buddy, all-time legendary game developer Dean Bent. Original games which improved when ported. Fascinating category there.
Huh.
So these are games that were improved with the port.
Okay.
They got better when they came home. So presumably these are arcade games or games that were ported from one system to another that improved on the port. That's a good idea.
I think that could be a good one.
That's a good call, Dean Bent. And ARG Presents will be back with that very episode on August 31st. So a couple weeks from now. Let's talk about what we've got coming up as the rotation spins again next week, Brent. It's the premiere debut episode of Atari Unlimited. Atari Unlimited next week. Should be a lot of fun. We'll be making the announcement for the very first system sometime within the next day or two.
Yeah, voting will go up probably tonight.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And you have till Wednesday if you're watching this on Sunday.
Just to round out what we've got coming up this month, Atari Unlimited will premiere on, and we'll be taping it August 10th. August 17th, we'll be back with a Coco show, East World Karate. I never heard of it, but I love it already. August 24th, we'll be filming R. Sinclair. This is one I've never heard of, the Brit Shovel Adventure, The Next Quest. I believe it's the next game. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be rounding out the month with ARG Presents, where we'll be playing original games which improved with a port. So that should be a lot of fun. We've got a big month ahead of us.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. So, again, next week, the Atari Unlimited show premiere. Now, you've been in charge of all the production and all the you've done everything. I'm basically ballast. How close are you to having a completed production setup for Atari Unlimited?
This week slowed me down a little bit where I got sick, but I'll be ready.
So not ready yet then.
Oh no, of course not.
You're one of those
It's
guys.
not the night before.
You do your homework 2 hours before class.
That's right.
What a bum. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to kicking that off next week. Hope we kick off in a big way. I don't think we have any ARG Presents news to talk about this week. I think we're ready to take to the house. Anything you want to bestow upon the audience before we take this thing and get out the door?
Nope.
Alrighty. That's all we got. We'll see you next week for Atari Unlimited. And until then, have a good week, everybody. Bam.
Wow.
We got it going. With a spin of the wheel, we'll uncover our fate and stream it to you all in one take. We tend to be loud and we fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get if we start.